So what does it really take to challenge the beliefs of an entire society? Today, we're going to dive into this incredible ancient story about one man, a single question, and an act of defiance that honestly would echo through history. This is the story of Ibrahim, a man you might know better as Abraham, who is, of course, a foundational figure in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam.
And this is the question at the very heart of our story. It's not about some complex theological debate. It's about something so much simpler and way more powerful. I mean, think about it. When everyone around you just accepts something as truth, how do you even begin to prove it's wrong? Especially when that truth is a god.
So on one side, you've got the full weight of tradition. We're talking an entire civilization worshiping these physical idols that they believed held real divine power. But then on the other side, you have this young guy, Ibrahim, whose simple, logical questions were threatening to unravel their entire worldview.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in ancient Babylon. It's a bustling city where people prayed to a whole pantheon of gods, all carved from stone and wood. But right there, in the middle of all these worshippers, was Ibrahim. And when he looked at these statues, he didn't see gods. All he saw were questions.
And just to be clear, these idols weren't just, decorations. They were the very heart of Babylonian spiritual life. But Ibrahim, he saw them for what they really were. Just materials, lifeless stuff. Stone and wood. Things that people could carve and shape and, this is important, things they could sell.
And here's where it gets really personal. This wasn't just Ibrahim versus society. Nope, this was son versus father. Get this, his own father was a master craftsman who built and sold these very idols. I mean, can you imagine the tension in that household? To challenge the gods was to challenge his family's entire livelihood.
Well, that kind of conflict couldn't stay quiet forever, right? Ibrahim was ready to move from just asking questions to making a very loud, very public point.
So his big chance comes during a huge citywide festival. Pretty much everyone leaves town, and the Grand Temple, it's left completely deserted. For Ibrahim, this wasn't an opportunity for mischief. No, this was the perfect stage for a powerful, calculated lesson.
So he grabs an axe, walks into the silent temple, and one by one, he just shatters the smaller idols. The very symbols of his people's faith, he reduces them to splinters and dust. It's a totally shocking and definitive act.
But he doesn't destroy everything. He leaves the biggest idol completely untouched. And then he does something incredibly clever. He puts the axe right on its shoulder, perfectly setting the stage for what's about to happen. This little detail, it's the key to his whole plan.
All right, now for the confrontation. When the people get back, Ibrahim is ready. Not with a defense, but with a series of questions designed to force everyone to really look at what they believed. And just like he knew they would, the people return to find their temple in ruins. The shock turns to pure fury, and they have only one question on their minds.
It doesn't take long for a suspicion to fall on Ibrahim, the young guy they'd all heard questioning the idols. So they drag him forward, and the accusation is direct. It's intense. The whole city is watching.
But Ibrahim, he doesn't say yes or no. He just calmly points to the scene he's so carefully set up and says, hey, why don't you ask the big guy? He's still holding the axe.
And boom, they walk right into his trap. In their frustration, they yell out the obvious, the very point Ibrahim has been trying to make this whole time. Of course the statue can't speak. It's just a chunk of stone.
And right there, Ibrahim turns their own words back on them with this devastatingly simple question. If your gods can't speak, or act, or even defend themselves, then how are they gods at all? The logic is just inescapable.
For a second, there was just silence. You could tell his words hit home. But public humiliation is a powerful thing, and instead of accepting the truth, their pride just curdled into pure rage. They couldn't fight his logic, so they decided to fight the man.
So the verdict was swift, and the punishment was designed to be absolute. They weren't just going to silence Ibrahim, they were going to make a terrifying example out of him. Their plan was simple and unbelievably brutal. They gathered wood and built this massive fire, so huge you could feel the heat from far away. They tied Ibrahim up and got ready to throw him into the blaze, a final, fiery answer to his logic. But just as he's being thrown toward the flames, the story takes a turn that is completely beyond human logic. A divine command is given, not to the people, but to the fire itself. It's a moment that just shatters all expectations.
And what happens next is the resolution.
where physical proof of a higher power finally silences that angry crowd. That inferno that was meant to destroy him, it became a place of safety. And to the absolute astonishment of everyone watching, Ibrahim just walks out from the heart of the fire completely unharmed, not a single burn. The people were just stunned into silence. All that anger, gone, replaced by total awe and confusion. They had tried to destroy a man for questioning their gods of stone, only to witness a power far, far greater than anything they had ever worshipped.
So what do we take away from this incredible story? Well, it seems to boil down to a few key ideas. First, the courage to stand for what's true, even if you're the only one standing. Second, the idea of focusing worship on a single, unseen creator instead of man-made things. And finally, a deep belief that true faith brings with it divine protection.
And that brings us to a final, powerful question that's just as relevant today as it was back in Babylon. When logic challenges tradition you've held your whole life, what do you choose? Do you defend your pride, or do you find the courage to maybe change your mind? Thanks so much for joining us.